He built the first version in roughly 5 days. It made $22,000 in its first week. The business later crossed $1 million in annual revenue, which makes the formula look embarrassingly simple. The founder, Tony Dinh, didn't train an AI model or run any infrastructure. So the question worth asking isn't how Tony shipped TypingMind in 5 days. It's why customers paid him and skipped everyone else. Go back to March 2023. OpenAI had just released the ChatGPT API, and developers could finally drop the same underlying model into their own products. Tony registered TypingMind.com the next day. None of this was a clean startup plan. He poked at the idea, got distracted, then used a weekend to actually finish it. A few days later, he had something that worked. What he had was an alternative interface for ChatGPT. Bring your own API key, organize your conversations, save prompts, search old chats, tweak the model settings. Ordinary features today. In March 2023, they fixed real, daily annoyances for the people who were just starting to live inside ChatGPT. Nobody was asking Tony to invent another model. They wanted the existing one to be less painful to use. And that's the whole thing. TypingMind wasn't selling access to artificial intelligence. OpenAI already provided that access. It was selling convenience, control, and a workflow that didn't fight you. Call it a wrapper if you want. The customer doesn't care what you call it, only whether it gives them their time back. People paid almost immediately, around $1,000 on day one. By March 10th, revenue was near $10,000. Then a strong product hunt launch pushed the number up to $22,000. The 5-day build makes this sound like free money. It wasn't. Tony shipped days after the API dropped, while ChatGPT hype was going vertical and the market was wide open. You can copy the interface today. You can't reopen March 2023. Timing wasn't the only edge, though. TypingMind wasn't his first product. He'd already put out DevUtils, Blackmagic, XSnapper, and he'd spent years building in public. So when he posted TypingMind, he wasn't shouting into an empty account. People already knew him, had bought his earlier stuff, or had watched him make it. The launch took 5 days. The trust behind it took years. He also treated the development itself as marketing. Ship a useful feature, post the update, pull in attention, turn some of it into sales. Easy to describe after the fact. Doing it week after week is the hard part. Then comes the stuff that quietly vanishes from the easy AI money story, keeping the thing alive. An API returns a response. It does not hand you a reliable application. You still have to decide where conversations live, how keys get protected, what happens when a request fails, how different models behave together. And then customers show up. One can't log in, one loses a conversation, one breaks the interface by clicking the button you were sure nobody would click. By July 2023, Tony said TypingMind had shipped 111 updates. That's an update roughly every 1.3 days. The first version was a wrapper. The first version was not the business. Over time, he layered on more models, plugins, AI agents, team features, custom deployments, enterprise controls. A demo proves the API can work. A product handles everything that happens when it doesn't. The pricing shifted too. TypingMind started with lifetime licenses, $19, then $29, then $39. Pay once, use your own key. But lifetime pricing carries a quiet trap. A single payment buys a permanent expectation of support, updates, and compatibility with every model that ships after, possibly forever. So Tony eventually brought in subscriptions for teams and businesses. By February 2024, total revenue had reached $500,000, with subscriptions running around $15,000 a month. In November 2024, he reported $1 million over 12 months. By late 2025, he put the business at roughly $130,000 to $160,000 a month, with recurring business customers making up more than half of it. That's the point where it stopped being a great launch and turned into an actual company. The solo product got attention. The team and enterprise versions got recurring revenue. There's still a real danger hiding under all of this. You're building on someone else's API, and that someone owns the ground you're standing on. Tony had learned this the hard way with Blackmagic, an earlier product wired into Twitter. At its peak, it was doing about $14,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Then Twitter repriced its API, and Tony said staying on it could have cost around $42,000 a month. The product made 14. The platform wanted 42. That's not a hard business. That's a dead one. A platform can raise prices, cut off access, rewrite the rules, or just ship your main feature inside its own app. If the only thing between you and ChatGPT is one clever prompt and a different background color, you've got almost nothing to hide behind. TypingMind chipped away at that risk by growing into team workflows, custom assistants, admin controls, enterprise features. None of it is impossible to copy, but ripping out the whole system gets a lot harder once a company has configured it, added its people, and wrapped its daily work around it. That's roughly what a real moat looks like for an AI product. Not a secret model, not some untouchable algorithm, just a pile of useful things the customer would rather not go set up all over again somewhere else. So can you still make money on an AI wrapper? Yeah, probably. But connecting the API is the least interesting move on the board. The real work is picking a specific group of people, figuring out exactly what's eating their time, and turning flaky AI output into something they can actually lean on. A generic chatbot that writes emails is trivial to replace. A system that reads customer records, follows company policy, asks for approval, and syncs the result back into the support platform is a different animal. The model writes the words. The product owns the workflow. So don't start by asking which model you can put behind a text box. Look at how people already work. Go find the process duct taped together out of prompts, spreadsheets, copy-paste, and one exhausted employee who somehow remembers where everything is. Then ask if you can turn that mess into one result they can trust. The model can belong to OpenAI. The infrastructure can belong to whoever. The customer relationship, the workflow, the outcome, those have to be yours. You can copy the first version of TypingMind this weekend. Just don't expect to copy the result. The API was never the business. Next time, we'll take an AI product from the first idea all the way to its first paying customer. The awkward messages, the failed launches, all the parts people usually edit out. If that sounds useful, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.